From unbelievable acts of zero sportsmanship to absolute mind-blowing shots that left everyone speechless. These are the craziest golf moments you have to see to believe. And first we start with number 15. Let's head into some really big mess, like one of the worst ball positions a golfer could ever imagine. Here we are with Phil Mickelson, the guy who has never been one to play it safe. But this was something else. His tee shot had vanished into the deep rough, tangled in a bush with a tree standing right in his way. A complete dead end. His caddy steps in, ready to hand him a wedge. "You're in some deep rough, and there's a tree in the way. I'll give you a wedge so you can..." Phil doesn't even let him finish. "Driver, please." "Wait, what?" The caddy hesitates. The crowd murmurs. The announcers are in disbelief. "A driver from here?" Phil just shrugs. "The driver got me in this mess, so the driver's gonna get me out of it." And then, with one of the most absurd recovery shots you'll ever see, Mickelson takes a wild half swing and smashes the ball out of the bush. It shoots through a tiny gap in the trees, skips past trouble, and rolls out beautifully into position, like he planned it. Chaos, luck, genius. With Phil Mickelson, sometimes it's all three. Coming in at number 14. The year is 2004, Bay Hill Invitational. A 74-year-old legend steps up to the tee. Arnold Palmer, the king himself, struggling to break 80. Hardly the setting for one of golf's most iconic moments, right? But sometimes greatness emerges when you least expect it. Palmer arrives at the 18th hole on Friday afternoon. He's missed the cut. The tournament he hosts will continue without him. Most players would simply go through the motions, tap in their final putt, and head to the clubhouse, but not Arnie. His tee shot finds the fairway, but he's still a long way from the green. Water protects the right side all the way to the putting surface. A sensible layup beckons. But when did Arnold Palmer ever play it safe? His grandson caddy Sam Saunders stands beside him. Perhaps he suggests the conservative approach. We'll never know. What we do know is what happens next. Palmer reaches for his driver, not for another tee shot. He's going to hit it off the deck. A shot so difficult, so risky that even tour professionals rarely attempt it. And he's 74 years old. Palmer sets up that iconic swing, still recognizable after all these years, and strikes. The ball launches low, a penetrating trajectory that skims the danger. It holds its line, carrying the water, rolling up onto the green just a few feet away from the pin. What a shot! The crowd erupts. Palmer grins that unmistakable Palmer grin. In that moment, age doesn't matter. The scorecard doesn't matter. What matters is the audacity, the fearlessness, the sheer joy of attempting something extraordinary. Our 13th unbelievable moment takes us to the 2023 Dubai Desert Classic. And let's be honest, what's a list of crazy golf moments without Patrick Reed? Exactly, so here we are. Reed finds himself in yet another predicament. His tee shot on the 17th hole sails offline, heading straight for a cluster of palm trees. The ball vanishes into the fronds and never comes back down. A lost ball would be a disaster, forcing him to return to the tee and take a costly penalty. But wait, Reed believes he's spotted his ball lodged in one of the palm trees. If he can identify it, the rules allow him to take a drop near the tree rather than that dreaded walk back to the tee box. Officials arrive. Reed, peering through binoculars, claims he can see his ball. A Titleist Pro V1 with a distinctive arrow marking. He's 100% certain it's his. The officials accept his identification. Reed drops near the tree, ultimately making bogey instead of potentially worse had he had to return to the tee. Case closed, right? Well, not quite. Because here it gets controversial. Later TV footage and slow-motion replays tell a different story. Reed claimed his ball landed in the third tree, but footage suggests it never got that far. It would have needed a wild change in direction and height. The trees are packed with similar golf balls, making Reed's identification nearly impossible. So, the verdict? Reed is a cheater. Another stain on the already complicated public career of this controversial figure. At number 12, we're at Torrey Pines, Farmers Insurance Open 2018. Tiger Woods stands over a makeable birdie putt. The gallery holds its collective breath. This is vintage Tiger. Back after nearly 30 months away from the PGA Tour due to injury, everybody was over the top. After a perfect approach shot, Tiger has given himself a chance to build momentum. He reads the line, takes his practice strokes, then addresses the ball. The silence is almost overwhelming as thousands of spectators stand frozen in place. Tiger begins his backstroke. And then, out of nowhere, someone in the crowd screams at the worst possible moment. Tiger flinches. His rhythm is completely thrown off, and he misses the putt. The announcers are stunned. And Tiger? He turns back toward the crowd, his face a perfect mix of, "Are you serious?" and "Come on, man." But the consummate professional, Woods rebounded immediately. On the very next hole, he striped a 320-yard drive and made his first birdie of the round, showing the mental toughness that defined his career. And here we are at number 11, where we find ourselves in 2010. The RBC Heritage at Harbortown Golf Links. The final day has delivered drama in spades. And now Englishman Brian Davis finds himself in a playoff with Jim Furyk. For Davis, everything is on the line. After 169 PGA Tour starts without a victory, he's one good shot away from breakthrough success. The moment every professional golfer dreams of is within his grasp. The playoff begins at the brutal 18th hole. Davis pulls his approach shot left of the green, pin high, into a hazard. Not ideal, but not disastrous either. He can still get up and down for par and extend the playoff. Davis addresses his ball, makes his swing, and executes the shot. But then Davis freezes. His face says it all. Something just happened. He calls over a rules official and drops the bombshell himself. "I think I hit a loose reed." Wait, what? Even the official standing right there didn't see it. The TV cameras barely caught it. And this is in an era where TV viewers at home were calling in penalties from their couches. And even they didn't notice it. But the rule is the rule. In a hazard, you can't move a loose impediment. And the penalty? 2 strokes. No one would have known. No one except Brian Davis. And just like that, it's over. His dream of a first PGA Tour win vanishes. Furyk is declared the winner. Coming in at number 10, we've got what might just be the weirdest golf story ever told. No, seriously. 1 minute, you're locked up in a prison cell, and the next, you're teeing it up at the Open Championship. How in the world does that happen? Sounds impossible, right? But not for Ryan Peake. The New Zealand Open isn't typically where golf's biggest stories unfold. But on this Sunday, something extraordinary is happening. Ryan is playing the tournament of his life with 4 shots ahead at the start of the final round. To give you a bit of context, we need to rewind 10 years. Ryan wasn't working on his swing or dreaming of major championships. He was sitting in a prison cell serving a 5-year sentence for assault. Back then, Ryan was a member of the Rebels, an outlawed Australian motorcycle gang. Golf couldn't have been further from his world, but sometimes life takes the strangest turns. Out of nowhere, his old coach, Richie Smith, reaches out with a wild idea. What if he gave professional golf another shot after getting out? At first, Ryan isn't having it. Pro golf? After this? No way. But something inside him sparks, and before he knows it, he's all in. Fast forward a few years, and here he is. Final round of the tournament. Nerves of steel, every shot dialed in. Step by step, he grinds his way up the leaderboard. By the time he walks up to the 18th green, the impossible is happening. One last putt, and boom. A final round 66 and a final score of 23 under. But here's where it gets crazy. That win comes with something even bigger. A golden ticket to the Open Championship. Just let that sink in. From a prison cell to the most legendary golf tournament on the planet in less than a decade. Can you believe it? Our 9th most unbelievable golf moment brings us to the BMW Championship 2024. Matt Fitzpatrick's season is on the line. He's 36th in the FedEx Cup standings and desperately needs a good finish to crack the top 30 and advance to East Lake. Standing on the 8th tee, Fitzpatrick spots a crack in his driver's club face. Not good. For these guys, their driver is like a magic wand. When it's damaged, anything can happen. So, he calls for a ruling. Simple, right? Club's broken, you get a new one. That's how it's supposed to work. PGA Tour Chief Referee Stephen Cox shows up, takes one look and says, "Yep, there's a crack all right." But Fitzpatrick can't replace it. Why? Because apparently the crack isn't significant enough. No separation in the metals, they said, just a crack. Can you believe that? Fitzpatrick sure couldn't. He's stuck playing the rest of his round with a driver he can't trust. Imagine trying to compete at the highest level with faulty equipment. After the ruling, Fitzpatrick reluctantly tees off with his compromised driver. The result is immediate and glaring. His drive veers left, traveling about 50 yards shorter than usual. Commentators, including Kevin Kisner on PGA Tour Live, were quick to criticize the ruling, labeling it terrible. Fitzpatrick shoots a respectable 2 under 70, but finishes at 1 under for the tournament. Not enough to advance. We'll never know if that cracked driver cost him his season. Next up, number 8, and we're diving into a moment from the 2023 Masters that had everyone talking. Brooks Koepka's caddy, Ricky Elliott, was caught on camera in what looked like a sneaky move, sharing club info with Gary Woodland's caddy. Here's the setup. Brooks nails his shot on the par 5 15th with a 5-iron, and right afterward, cameras spot Elliott mouthing the word 5, as if he's passing on the club choice. Now, under Rule 10.2a, sharing advice like that is a big deal, with a possible 2-stroke penalty hanging over it. But here's where it gets interesting. Augusta National decided not to hand out any penalties, ruling that no advice had actually been given. Of course, this didn't stop the chatter. The video clearly showed Elliott mouthing 5 and Brooks flashing 5 fingers. Still, Brooks later explained that Woodland and his caddy had no clue what club he'd used. Apparently, Woodland even asked Brooks about it while they walked the fairway, reinforcing their story. More than halfway through at number 7, we're at a local tournament where an amateur female golfer turned what should have been a regular round into an unforgettable comedy of errors. It all started with her opening shot, a slice straight into the crowd that hit an elderly woman, knocking her off her feet. Concerned spectators rushed to help as the shaken but determined woman decided to stay and watch the game. Surely that was a 1 in a million accident, right? Think again. On her very next shot, the golfer lined up, swung, and, you guessed it, sent the ball veering in the exact same direction, striking the same poor woman for a second time. The crowd erupted into laughter and disbelief as the woman, now clearly exasperated, shouted. The golfer, mortified beyond words, apologized profusely, while the unlucky but good-spirited spectator managed to laugh it off. This wild incident quickly became a legend, reminding everyone that in golf, anything, and we mean anything, can happen. Coming in at number 6, we have a moment so bizarre, so utterly ridiculous, that it felt like a glitch in reality. It's the 2021 US Open, and Bryson DeChambeau is locked in, focused on his next shot. The crowd watches in silence, the tension building as he goes through his routine. And then, absolute madness. Out of nowhere, a fan doesn't just heckle from the ropes, he takes it a step further. He casually strolls onto the course, right up to DeChambeau, and, wait for it, grabs one of his clubs. Not in a panicked, whoops, wrong place kind of way. No, this guy acts like he belongs there, like he's Bryson's brand new caddy hired on the spot. For a second, the world pauses. Bryson is frozen, staring in disbelief. The crowd murmurs, trying to process what's happening. Finally, security snaps out of their trance and tackles the guy, dragging him off as the crowd erupts in laughter. And Bryson? He just shakes his head, probably running the probability of this nonsense happening in his head. But even he couldn't believe what just went down. Sliding into the top 5. And here we have probably the most unbelievable things that ever happened on a golf course. But before we go, I still need your help in reaching 20,000 subs before the end of the month. Please subscribe. All right, let's move on. We need to travel back to March 16th, 1988, Moon Valley Country Club in Phoenix, Arizona. LPGA player Mary B. Porter. King is just trying to qualify for the Standard Register Samaritan Turquoise Classic, but instead, she makes history. Porter King stands on the par 5 13th hole. She's at even par through 12 holes and knows she needs a couple of birdies coming in to have any chance of qualifying. She puts a little extra into her drive, hoping to reach the green in 2, but pops it up. Forced to lay up, she pulls her second shot about 50 yards left of center. As she walks to her ball, Porter King notices something eerie just beyond a wrought iron fence separating the golf course from a residential backyard. A toddler, face down and motionless, floating in a swimming pool. In an instant, Porter King's priorities shift from golf to saving a life. The father, who doesn't know CPR, hands her his son's tiny body. Porter King immediately clears the boy's blocked airway and begins mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. When that doesn't work, she desperately pounds on his chest before returning to mouth-to-mouth. Finally, his heart starts beating. After the ambulance leaves with Jonathan safely breathing, Porter King simply returns to her round, makes bogey on the hole, and misses qualifying by a single shot. But that day, she left as more than just a golfer. She left as a hero. Counting down to number 4. Golf is a game of precision, but sometimes, even the most perfect shots can go horribly wrong in ways no one could predict. At the 2014 Crown Plaza Invitational, Jimmy Walker was having a strong tournament. Tied for fourth, dialed in, and very much in contention. Then came the 17th hole. A short par 4, nothing too intimidating, just a smooth iron off the tee. Simple, right? Wrong. Walker takes his swing. It's pure. The ball launches with a perfect trajectory, soaring through the Texas sky, and then mid-flight impact. But not with a tree, not with a grandstand, with a bird. For a moment, nobody even knew what happened. The ball took an awkward dive, landing in the rough. Walker looked confused. The crowd murmured. It wasn't until the slow-motion replay that reality set in. He had hit a bird in midair, a one-in-a-million moment. Somehow, despite the bad break, Walker shrugged it off, knocked his approach shot onto the green, and escaped with a par. A reminder that in golf, no matter how much you plan, sometimes the wildest obstacles come out of nowhere. Literally. Number 3 takes us to one of the best rounds ever seen on probably the hardest course in golf. It's Sunday at Muirfield. The 2013 Open Championship. The Claret Jug is up for grabs and the leaderboard is stacked. But Phil Mickelson? He's not even in the conversation. 5 shots back, needing a miracle. For years, links golf had been his kryptonite, his aggressive, high-flying game never quite fitting the brutal, windswept conditions of Scotland. But today, something feels different. He makes the turn at even par, still lurking, still waiting, and then, boom, the 13th hole. A towering 5-iron, a clutch birdie putt, and just like that, the floodgates open. What follows is pure magic. While the rest of the field crumbles under Muirfield's pressure, Mickelson shifts into another gear. He attacks the toughest closing stretch in golf and wins. The moment of truth? The 17th hole, a high-risk 3-wood second shot that could go so wrong. But Phil doesn't flinch. He sends it soaring, threading the needle, setting up another birdie. And then the exclamation point. An 18-foot dagger on the final hole. A final round 66. A 5-shot deficit erased. And a 3-shot victory that silences every doubt about his links golf struggles. After 20 years of chasing it, Mickelson finally lifts the Claret Jug, calling it probably the best round of my career. The runner-up of the list, number 2, some hecklers shout from the sidelines and fade into the background. Others, they end up stealing the show. It's the 2016 Ryder Cup, and during a practice round, Team Europe is struggling with a tricky putt. Attempt after attempt rolls past the hole, and the frustration is starting to show. That's when a voice from the gallery cuts through the silence. Even I could make that. The source? A fan named David Johnson standing confidently among the crowd. Most hecklers would have stopped there, but not Johnson. He was loud, he was certain, and unfortunately for him, he had the full attention of Justin Rose and Henrik Stenson. Instead of brushing him off, the pros decided to have a little fun. They waved him onto the green, handed him a putter, and, just to raise the stakes, Rose placed a crisp $100 bill next to the hole. The crowd exploded with laughter and cheers. This wasn't just a bet anymore, this was a moment. Johnson stepped up, still wearing his jacket and jeans, took one practice stroke, and the ball rolled smoothly across the green and dropped straight into the hole. The crowd lost it. Players were doubled over in laughter, high-fiving him like he had just won the Ryder Cup himself. From heckler to hero in one swing, David Johnson walked in as a loudmouth and walked out as a legend. And finally, we arrive at our number 1 most unbelievable golf moment of all time. Imagine being so precise with a golf club that you could hit a hole-in-one not once, not twice, but 17 times in professional tournaments. Seems impossible, right? But not for Mo Norman. Wait a sec. 17 holes in one. Let that sink in for a moment. Most amateur golfers dream of getting just one in their lifetime. Many professionals with decades-long careers might get 2 or 3 if they're extraordinarily lucky. Norman made 17 in sanctioned professional events. How did he do it? His accuracy was supernatural. His swing, unlike anything golf had ever seen. He positioned the club way out in front of him, set up a foot behind the ball, and swung with his feet, planted firmly on the ground, never shifting his weight. It looked bizarre, almost robotic, but the results were undeniable. Here's the craziest part. Mo Norman didn't shape shots. No draws, no fades. Just dead straight, every single time. He was so consistent that he could hit 7 irons to the exact same spot over and over again, barely moving a blade of grass. Lee Trevino once said, Mo could hit a 1-iron like most people hit a wedge. His ball striking was so absurdly good that other pros would literally stop their own practice sessions just to watch him hit balls. Vijay Singh was once asked who the best golfer he'd ever seen was. Without hesitation, he answered, Mo Norman. Because when you hit it that straight, that often, you're in a league of your own. Oh, and before you go, please watch this new video right in the middle of the screen. You're gonna enjoy it.